It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes to be a good host. All it takes is showing up to your properties every so often, checking up on your cleaners, and caring. It could really be the difference between your property making $80,000 or $90,000 a year. And I mean that. All right, here's what we got rocking today. Not too long ago, one of my guests at my Airbnb broke my couch. And I don't know how, I don't know what they were doing on that couch, but it's created problems because I tried to fix said couch and then the couch broke again, and I've had several guests stay and they're like, hey, this couch is broken. I didn't break it. I'm like, it's fine, I knew it was broken. So that's what we're doing today. I'm heading out to Crystal Beach to replace the couch with the couch that I bought on Craigslist, which is actually a pretty funny story. I needed a couch really quick. I looked on Facebook Marketplace. This one, I found one that kind of matches the color scheme of my living room. I show up to the house. The guy opens the door and he's immediately like, hey, you're the YouTuber, right? And I'm like, yes. And then I look around and something about his house is super weird and familiar. And then I realize, holy crap, I have stayed at this Airbnb before 2 years ago when I was thinking about moving to Houston. We booked that exact Airbnb to test out the neighborhood that we ultimately ended up moving to, which I thought was really funny because about a week or two ago, I was just asking my wife, hey, where was that Airbnb that we booked 2 years ago? Do you think we ever drive by it? And she's like, probably not. And then I ended up buying a couch from the guy. But not only that, he's a subscriber of the Robuilt channel, which if you're watching this right now and you're not, you should be too. So click the subscribe button, like button, and let's get on to today's episode of Rob is way too involved in his Airbnb day-to-day operations, but hey, it makes good content. Arrived at the beach house. Look at this little pink cutie right here. I call this Airbnb El Pajarito. Spanish for the bird, because it kind of looks like a birdhouse. Casita de pajarito. Maybe that's what I'll call it. Turns out that I can't carry a couch by myself. This is the couch right here. It's not a heavy couch, but I would never be able to take this by myself. And I don't have a lot of friends or contacts in this city. So I did what any Airbnb host would do in this situation. And I called my landscaper, Carlos, and I said, amigo, ¿me puedes ayudar a mover un sillón? And just like that, he was here and helped me move this couch. So we just brought, well, all right. Let me clarify. It was actually him and his son, and I had intended to help him, but him and his son really just ended up doing all of it for me. But they were in and out in 5 minutes. I gave him a little tip. All is good. I guess this is just turning into a day. Am I gonna ever be able to talk? I guess this is just turning into a day in the life of an Airbnb host series. Okay, so check this out. This was the couch. I don't know what the heck happened, but basically these guests came in. I guess they were smanging on the couch. Something popped out here, ripped a hole. They completely broke whatever the base was. So when you sit down on this, you literally sink into it. And all of the springs that support the couch broke. Now I had a very difficult decision to make because the couch is gray and I didn't have a lot of time because I have guests coming in, so I had to think fast. Went to Craigslist, then I went to Facebook Marketplace, and I thought, well, if I try to get a gray couch, it's definitely not gonna match the couch that I currently have. So I decided to go with the blue couch because we have a blue theme going on in the house because it's a beach house, and it should theoretically match with the gray couch and with some of the other blue things we have in the house. So we'll see. I'm not super happy with it. Yep, this is not great. Oh well. That's the gray couch back there. That's the blue couch, which matches. However, when I bought this, I kind of forgot that I did have these accent chairs. It would have worked if it wasn't for these meddling kids of accent chairs that definitely don't match. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to make this cohesive with this. Oh my gosh, there's other blue chairs that are a different blue. Oh boy. There's a way to fix this temporarily while I figure it out, but the idea is I'm gonna come and get a nice giant sectional for this property. This won't be an issue for much longer, but I still hate it. So here's my plan. I'm gonna go get like a gray / cream beige-ish type of throw blanket, and I'm gonna drape it over this. And then I'm gonna take these throw pillows, which are not the greatest throw pillows. They came with the house when I bought it fully furnished. And I'm gonna toss it on this, and that should at least get me through until the new sectional comes in. You know, as someone that actually likes design and is pretty involved in that process, I'm ashamed to show this on YouTube, but the show must go on, and I would rather have a couch than no couch that doesn't match, than a broken couch that guests consistently complain about. So we're gonna make it work. Here's how all YouTubers like for these shots to look. 1 second. cut. And then they match cut it to the next angle as if they didn't spend like 2 minutes adjusting the camera. Like this. Match cut. Oh, good. A piece of macaroni or something. Roku remote that I found buried in the other couch, thankfully. So I'm just gonna leave this on the table here. Match cut. Match cut. It's not my favorite, but it'll mostly work. Mostly. Overall, I would actually say that my cleaners are pretty amazing. They definitely consistently clean and the house is always pretty good, but I like to do a once over anyway, and I always find little details like this. The window shades are just not completely straight. Oh, is it a pull down? Huh. Okay, well, something here is broken. There we go. See, it takes like 1 minute. If you just spend 1 minute working out these details, I don't know, I don't think it's really gonna change your rating that a guest gives you or anything like that, but you don't want guests ever thinking about it because that's one little thing, but if it happens 5 more times, it all adds up and maybe that will get you that 4-star review, okay? Everything looks pretty good in here for the most part. I hate this art. This art right here is what we call, I mean, this is worse than TJ Maxx by far. Oh my God, look at this. It's so ugly. I have no idea who would ever have chosen that. This looks all pretty decent in here. This definitely isn't my style, but if you recall, I bought this house creative finance and it was completely furnished. I didn't have to spend a dime. Oh my God. Don't tell me that's unlocked. Are you kidding me? 1 second. Like, there's no way anyone is gonna break in here because we're on the 2nd story, and if they were gonna bring a ladder to break into my house versus just breaking in through the front door, I mean, I guess they could do that, but still, I'm just like, come on, all right. Please be locked. Thank goodness. The deadbolt isn't though, hold on. Balcony number 3, I'm scared. All right, it's locked, but again, this deadbolt isn't locked. I mean, it takes 1 minute. And for sure, I'm gonna text my cleaner about this. One thing I really like about this house is it's got a huge kitchen. I've hosted my family here. There's been 12, 14, 15 of us in here. And you can put a ton of food on this island, which is great because you can serve and you can cook and all that stuff, but it's also like complete mania once all the food. My mom, she cooks a ton of Mexican food and man, it is like a buffet, but then no one ever wants to put the food up. But overall, this kitchen is great. I put this on here actually. For all the parents that don't want their kids going up the stairs and stuff, I put a little baby-proof lock on there. I think it's a nice touch. It's actually probably really annoying for like 99% of my guests, but for the parents, they're like, heck yeah. Cheap art, cheap art, cheap art. Oh, it's really bad. Well, let's let the face palms continue. You see that TV? There's a cord right there, stretched as much as can be. Well, there's actually a plug behind the TV, and with just a little bit of intuitive thinking, anyone could have figured that out. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes to be a good host. Is that what I should call this video? All it takes is showing up to your properties every so often, checking up on your cleaners, making sure they're doing a good job and keeping them accountable, which mine are doing pretty good, but then there's little things like that, and caring. 5 minutes. It could really be the difference between your property making $80,000 or $90,000 a year. And I mean that. Well, that's most of it. I think for the most part, this property is okay. I never much liked the interior design of this property, but you know, it was fully furnished and I wasn't gonna spend $40,000 to refurnish it. But now that I'm launching Funkit, which is my Airbnb design shop, I'm launching it with a couple friends, Blue and Bridget. You might know Bridget. Her Instagram handle is It's Bridget Bitch. She's an amazing designer. He's an amazing operator. And so if you've been following along with the Pink Pickle series and the launch of that Airbnb in Austin, Texas, it's a complete amazing bachelorette pad. I just wanna do that over and over and over again. We're not gonna be the cheapest. I would say we're gonna be the Tesla of design shops, but every single property we design will be an all-out design extravaganza that will be the top 1% of any market that we're in. That I'm positive of. And because we're a premium service, I can't really afford to use them on every single one of the properties in my portfolio. But this property, I think, needs it. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not ugly. Most people would settle for this. Most people would say, this is an amazing Airbnb. Are you proud of me, Dad? I just know that there's so much potential here. The properties in this neighborhood, according to AirDNA, do about $80, $90, $100,000 every single year. I think that this property could do 120, 130 if it was the best designed property in this neighborhood, especially when you consider that we actually have kind of a view. All right, so maybe you can't see the view, but I can assure you the view is there. It's there. It's somewhere over there. There's the beach. You can even hear the water. Man, I'll tell you, you know, the most annoying aspect of hosting in a beach market, the sand. It corrodes everything. This lock is the second time I've changed it because the humidity in the sand destroyed it, and now I'm gonna have to replace it again. Now I gotta figure out what's a good marine grade lock. All right, now I wanna check one final thing. I always like to make sure that the internet is working. I have Starlink out here, so let's see if that connects and if I'm good to go. Nice, it does. All right, let's run a quick speed test and I'll tell you how I got Starlink here, which let me tell you, Starlink doesn't actually serve this city or neighborhood, and I did like a little hack. We're in, baby. After all this time. All right, download speed, 161 megabytes per second. Upload speed leaves a little to be desired. Probably looking at about 10 right now, but it's been up to 50, I think. So it's actually not bad. I'm not gonna recommend this at all because a lot of people on the forums were like, it's risky, don't do it, blah, blah, blah. But basically Starlink services Galveston, but just one little tiny point in Galveston on the beach. And so what you have to do is order Starlink to an address in Galveston, but you can ship it to a different address, which I did in Houston, Texas. But the problem is you have to then activate it at the address that you claim, which was the beach in Galveston. So I took my truck, which has a plug in it, drove all the way to the beach on top of the sand, plugged it in, pointed it to the sky, activated it, drove to Crystal Beach, mounted it on my roof, and what do you know? It actually works, and I've had zero problems, and it's way better than Viasat. Viasat is the scum of the earth, horrible company, terribly expensive. It was $150 a month for like 10 megabytes per second download. And this is like $120 a month? No, it's like $100. This is like $100 a month, and I get 160 megabytes download, albeit a little black hat and I don't know, ethically ambiguous, but it worked. Sue me, Elon. One more thing before I roll out of here. This is a very quick checkup. And typically I don't do this, to be honest. I usually ask my cleaners to kind of report back, but recently I've just kind of realized that no one cares. I mean, I didn't just realize this, but I'm realizing it at scale that no one is gonna care about your Airbnb property more than you, no matter who it is. I mean, you can have employees that care because it's their job, but like I love this house and I love my properties, and it's just no one is ever gonna outlove my properties. And so I've just been trying to check in more and be more intentional about it. And I'm just finding, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm just like, oh, I gotta create a system to make sure that this type of stuff isn't happening. Like I just built this mini golf course and it cost me $25,000 to do, and it's an amazing amenity, but look at this, like check this out. There's like literally these palapa leaves. Didn't think would be the downfall of this place, but like look at this, they're like everywhere. The rocks and the gravel are all over the mini golf. Like it's just a little disappointing, you know? I talked to my landscaper about this. I was like, hey dude, how do we make sure that this doesn't happen? It's funny because the actual, like the landscaping that he does is he cuts a little piece of grass that's about that big, you know, maybe even less. So he actually spends more time on the mini golf cleaning this up, right? So he's actually, it's funny because all he does is this, but I've tasked him with actually upkeeping the mini golf too. And so he was like, hey, bring me a push broom. I'll get it cleaned up. I'll make sure that this stuff never happens again, blah, blah, blah. All good people, like the guy, he's great. But it's funny because he's gonna spend way more time on the turf than on the actual grass, which I think is honestly, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, this is such a nice amenity and it's just quickly tainted by the amount of rocks and gravel, and I see a bottle cap right there. So this is what you do as an Airbnb owner. You gotta figure out systems, and you gotta figure out how this stuff doesn't happen over and over and over again. And that's what separates the good host from the bad host. Now you might be saying, well, you haven't figured it out. Does that make you a bad host? No, it doesn't, because I'm trying to figure it out and I'm actively figuring it out. So that's what I'm really gonna be focusing on probably in this vlog series, is just raising the standards of every single one of my properties. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe if you want to follow the chronicles, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Robuilt.